So there are 4 objectives. We can kind of subdivide those 4 because 2 of them really are development of stuff we learned earlier. So the first 2, developing our rhythmic understanding by mixing up quarter notes and eighth notes, combining quarter notes and eighth notes, which we've been doing quite a lot. We certainly did that in the last lesson, so we're going to continue that as we always do here at Gigajam with this kind of progressive flow. We keep the stuff and then we renew it and reinforce it in later lessons.
Building blocks.
Fantastic explanation.
Starting low, building up high.
You should do this for a living, you're great. And the second objective is, again, a development of something we learned earlier. That's the string crossing idea.
That was when we were going from one to another and having to sort of, work our fingers out there on the fretboard.
Yeah, so those are the first 2 objectives, and the exercises that we'll play will help us to develop those objectives and put all that stuff, those skills, into practice. Okay. The second 2 objectives are left-hand fingering technique, but we'll save that till the second half, if that's all right with you, and do that after the break.
No problem. When you say left-hand fingering technique, do you mean my left hand or your left hand?
I mean your left hand, normal, yeah, it's always back to front. So the fretting hand.
The fretting hand.
Fretting hand technique. So far we've only been using one finger, but in this lesson we'll look at how to use each of the fingers and how to spread them out to control all the strings and all the notes.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Let's get cracking. And
the first objective that we're going to look at today is about rhythm. So we're talking about developing rhythm for rock grooves. Yeah. And the way that musicians use rhythm and combine different rhythms using quarter notes and eighth notes. And essentially we're going to be learning a bit about reading those rhythms and how they look, how they sound, how they feel, and their subdivisions.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, so we better get on with it.
We need to start, yeah. Shall I scroll down for you?
Please,
here?
Thank you very much for being computer operator. You do it very well. So this first of our objectives that we're going to look at today, mixing up subdivisions, and really we need to talk a bit about reading. If you look at the first exercise, it doesn't look so different to what we've done before, and in fact we've played all of this stuff before. We've certainly played all of these notes before. Yeah. In the first bar, do you know which note it is in the first bar? It's in the first space of the bass clef. No, good guess, try again. It's
G, A. I would get there eventually.
That's A in the first space.
Yeah.
So we've played A before.
Yes.
We've got no problem. We know where to play A. We play A on the 5th fret of the E string, the 4th string, so we know where that is, and that just reminds us. That's a good thing about reading, about notation, the way music is written down. It's really just like a shopping list. It tells you what to pick up next. Yeah. So what we have to do in that first bar is play A, and there are no other notes, so we just have to play a collection of A's. The other thing that bar tells us, the other thing that the notation tells us, is the rhythm, how many A's to play, how frequently to play them, how long each one lasts. So if you look at it, you can see the rhythmic information. There are 2 standalone notes at the beginning, and the viewers probably recognise those, if they've been paying attention, as quarter notes.
Absolutely, so that'll be 1 and 2.
Very good, you've been paying attention too. And that leaves us 2 beats left in the bar.
3 and 4.
So that last group of notes, which is kind of bracketed together with a beam, a thick beam across the top, that's got to happen in the last 2 beats of the bar. So that's got to be beats 3 and 4. But that's subdivided, as I'm sure you can recognise, into eighth notes. Yeah. So
just sorry to jump in, but why, when we've been looking at it previously, we've just had 2 pairs, sort of eighth notes together. Now we've joined it all into one string. Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? You know, in some of the bars, you can see later, there are separate pairs of eighth notes. It's a kind of convention or protocol that musicians use, and when you know, it's like anything else. When you know the system, it's easy, but when you're on the outside looking in, you think, what's going on? That's why often people are very intimidated by reading. There's absolutely no need to be. We've played all this stuff before. We know the names of the notes, and if we play the rhythms, people will go, oh, is that all it is? Yeah. Somehow there seems to be this kind of great mystery about reading, but there's no need to be. If I can learn to read, anyone can learn to read. So to answer that question finally, the reason they're paired together is, I think that it shows you very comfortably, very conveniently, how the bar is broken in half, how the bar is subdivided. Yeah. You can see that that's 2 beats. And so it actually is a shortcut. It means you don't have to worry about each beat. You can worry about a couple of beats and take them all in your stride. In the sense that when you're reading any other language, like English, you don't think about the letters in the words. You kind of take little chunks, bite-sized pieces of information. Does that make any sense?
No, it does. It makes absolute sense. Like, when you equate it to reading, you know, these are our letters, but once you get good at reading, you're not looking at your letters, you're just reading the words as a whole. Therefore, it's making it easy for us.
Sure, and we tend to take those skills for granted, certainly as a musician, but even when we're reading English, you know, we tend to just read the paper or read a novel on holiday or whatever.
But if it's a word that you don't know, break it down letter by letter so you know how it works. Exactly the same in music.
Yeah, and often, even behind all that, there's another dimension to it, isn't there? That you may not know exactly what the word means, but you get a sense of it from the flow of the other words.
OK, well, let's get a sense of this piece then.
Yeah, that first bar, as we said, is A, so no issues about the pitch, very easy, just one note to play. And we were talking about the fact that there are a mixture of different note values, 2 quarter notes and 4 eighth notes. So if we counted that bar, and we don't really even need my bass to do that, I could probably just clap it or tap it or click it or whatever. If I count it in, it would go 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Do you want to try that with me?
So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and.
That's so now if I remember that rhythm, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and I look at it on the text there, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and I'm remembering, I'm just switching my bass on, I'm remembering that it's an A, it's in the first space of the bass clef. So how did the rhythm go? 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 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 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Great.
You've got it, Terry.
Hey, thanks, man. So there's a lot going on. I'm trying to... what we did there was we read that first bar, so congratulations, you are reading music. Well done. That first bar, we broke it down. We kind of separated the 2 ingredients of music. We separated the pitch, which was pretty easy, it was just an A.
Yes. And
we separated the rhythm, which looked a bit trickier, and that allowed us to just focus on this trickier side of things. And then we put it all back together again and played it as a piece of music. All we have to do now is do that for each of the other bars.
All we've got to do. All right, so moving on to the second bar then.
Yeah. The second bar
is...
It's
a different note.
Different note and different rhythm. It's only one note again. It's very consistent. It's just a G. We know where G lives. It's on the 3rd fret, so that's easy enough. And I'm sure you can read that rhythm.
It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and...
So we got a lucky bar there, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if I can still remember how the first bar went, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and I can tie that to the second bar and I'll try and do them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3 and 4 and G and 2 and 3 and 4 and there's my 2 bars. We're getting good at this.
We're getting very good. On to the third.
Yeah, 3rd bar. Different note.
Again.
Yeah.
Which
Do you
makes
recognise
this
that note? It's one of the notes we learned in the last lesson.
Is this a C?
It is. Very good, Natalie. And we play C, of course, on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string with the first finger. And the rhythm there, I don't know if you can see it, it's quite a lot of quarter notes. There's a quarter note and then 2 eighth notes and then 2 more quarter notes. So this bar goes 1, 2 and 3, 4. Great, fantastic. And I bet you could read the next bar as well, couldn't you, the rhythm, which goes...
Are you challenging me?
I am.
1, 2 and 3, 4 and...
Fantastic. And what note is that last bar, do you reckon?
I reckon that's... If that one was a C, this is 1 a little bit further up, so therefore that's a D.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? We were talking about reading earlier. You kind of work things out by a process of deduction. You think, well, that note's not that note.
Yeah, it's got to be the one above.
So that C bar, bar 3, goes 1, 2 and 3, 4. And the 4th bar, which is D, goes 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. So what I'm going to try and do now is play the whole of the first 4 bars.
That whole top line.
Yeah, here it goes.
1 to 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. A, 2, 3 and 4 and G and 2 and 3 and 4 and C, 2 and 3, 4, D, 2 and 3, 4 and.
I'm amazing myself there.
You did very well then, yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it, that if you can read it and process the information, then you're most of the way there. Then you would just, given time to practice at home every evening, you'd pick up the bass. Now your brain can send the messages. You just got to wait for your fingers to receive those messages, put it all into practice.
All right, let's carry on. Let's go to the next line, the 5th bar.
OK, 5th bar, which looks to me like an A.
and I can see that it is an A because it's in the first space. And also, if I look back at the first bar, I review the earlier information, I can see that that was an A.
Absolutely.
So that's confirmed it. And I just have to read the rhythm, which is, of course, 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. And if I play that rhythm using an A, it goes 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. So here I am again applying exactly the same principles that we did very carefully in the beginning, separating the pitch and the rhythm. The pitch in bar 6 is G, and the rhythm is 1, 2 and 3 and 4. G, 2 and 3 and 4.
On to 7, that's a C.
Very good, thanks for reminding me. And the rhythm is C, 2 and 3 and 4. In fact, it's the same rhythm in bar 7 as was in bar 6. And finally, on
8.
D, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. What should I do now?
Play it all
the
together.
Whole thing, yeah. Wish me luck. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
A,
2, 3 and 4 and
G
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
C,
2 and 3, 4,
D,
2 and 3, 4
4
and
A
1 and 2,
3
3 and 4 and
G.
I'm going to leave
2
Terry to
and
carry on with